Arknights is a game that I thoroughly enjoy, despite its monetary tendencies and the occasional fumble from their publisher, Yostar. There's actually a lot I like about this game. The gameplay is fun and challenging, its art direction is immaculate, and the music is always all-dropping, though it's kind of a standard for a lot of modern gacha games. But one of the biggest hooks for me is the world building of Arknights, which is comparable to Warhammer 40k or the Bible. A lot of people think that world building is something that you have to sacrifice to have a good narrative, but for Arknights it's kind of a little different. I like the way they write their characters and how they interact with each other and the world. And that's kind of like the whole basis of this video. The way that the characters interact with the world and how the world interacts with them back is something that's rarely seen in a lot of media. Unlike a lot of these video game stories, or specifically gacha ones, Arknight's story doesn't center on one main character. It's more of an anthology, focusing on the world itself and the characters that live in it, along with all the different regions and cultures that the characters themselves are centered around. So let me give you a brief history on the world of Arknights. The world of Terra is very similar, but also very different from our own. For example, Iberia represents the Iberian Peninsula in Spain, and Siracusa represents Italy. Even though they share similarities in themes and language, there's one major difference between our cities and the ones in Terra. They move. I mean, literally, they put them on wheels and drive them like cars. You ever seen the movie Mortal Engines? Kinda like that. Why is that? I mean, it's surely not very efficient to move around a city on wheels all the time, so why do they build them? And actually, the reason both why and the how lies in originium. Imagine a material that is like coal, but 1,000 times more efficient. People mine this stuff so they can power these cities to avoid catastrophes, which is a phenomenon that is also caused by originium. So storms, tsunamis, meteor showers, all empowered by originium. And as if superpowered natural disasters wasn't bad enough, originium also has this really unique gimmick where it can self-propagate, including on living tissue. That causes problems. People can be infected by active forms of originium, which they call oripathy. And here's where a lot of the social issues arise within the main story. The people of Terra have made social constructs out of people infected from oripathy. Best, certain countries like Colombia, you lose some privileges but otherwise get to live a somewhat normal life. Or you could be real unlucky and be some guy in Ursus and get yourself and your family sent to the mines just for being infected. And you kind of hear about all this and start to understand and piece together the puzzle that I'm laying out for you. Terra is an imperfect world. Which brings us to a more specific topic. Iberia is a coastal nation in Arknights. It prided itself on its powerful navy and technological advancements due to its high influx of Aegir immigrants coming from below the water. Note how I said prided, past tense, as a disaster called the Great Silence left many of its coastal towns very silent and destitute. Soon after, Iberia began a crackdown that limited immigration and emigration. People of Aegir were taken in for interrogation and questioning. An order of inquisitors was created to uphold order and execute those they deemed to be heretics. Heretics they were searching for belonged to an order called the Church of the Deep, which leads to our next part, the Seaborn. Seaborn are a collection of ocean life forms that the Church of the Deep worship. They believe the Seaborn hold the key to survival due to their literal one-minded nature to collectively survive. The Seaborn are a hive mind collective, which means they don't necessarily understand conflict, as it's contrary to their one and only goal, to survive. In fact, that they're so opposed to conflict that they're willing to feed each other themselves to keep them alive. And that's kind of the main appeal of the Church of the Deep. In a society of Seaborn, there's no crime, nobody's out for themselves. Like the idealistic communist society. The caveat, obviously, is losing your individuality. You no longer have any free will, and there's only a collective we to serve. There's really no symbolic meaning behind doing anything. It's only survival, so there's no art, no play, no religion, no nothing. And Aegir as a nation as a whole is wholly opposed to these Seaborn. So much so that they created a super weapon program called the Abyssal Hunter, where super soldiers genetically spliced with the DNA of the Seaborn to combat them. And I think the Abyssal Hunters are the best point of connection between humanity and the Seaborn. Due to their partial Seaborn genetics, a lot of the Seaborn have began to adapt to how to speak and talk like people. Try to see and understand, see why what the Seaborn consider to be bloodkin to attack them for seemingly no reason in their perspective. The overarching story constantly reminds us of both the Abyssal Hunters and certain other people being turned into Seaborn and struggle with retaining their humanity. They cling on to things like art, music, and dance to really rein in that call to become a greater whole. The Seaborn being able to survive without these aspects isn't necessarily downplaying the aspect of play and how humanity makes itself unique because of it, but it definitely provides an interesting outside perspective from animals who do use play from time to time to reinforce essential survival skills. It makes them a pretty unique antagonistic force rather than a villain with an agenda. And that's about all I can do with the time that I have here, but I really appreciate for sticking out as long as you have for this 5-minute video, so I appreciate that. Editing the video turned out to be much more tedious than expected, so no fancy transitions or extra footage to really supplement the video. But it's been fun, and I should really give myself more time when I start this project, so I actually had time to finish it properly, but regardless, it's been super fun, so. But thank you for watching my video.